Welcome to this tutorial. We're going to discuss probably the most beneficial and powerful tool in your toolbox on your agent dashboard, and that is our electronic signature function, aka Dotloop. So stay with me. I'm going to have some help explaining it on this tutorial. Welcome to this tutorial of the wonderful world of electronic signatures. Ashmont Realty commits to be 100% paperless, and it wasn't that long ago, guys, in which we were signing deals on car hoods and sending faxes over. So there's a wonderful tool that we have. It's part of our toolbox electronic signature, and it's called Dotloop. And we're going to dive into it today. This is a long tutorial. I'm going to have some help explaining this with an expert. This tutorial is about an hour long, but it goes through all the basics of how to use your Dotloop feature. This is required. We do not, all paperwork and things need to be through Dotloop, and all the forms and everything you need is laid out already for you, branded in our logos. So what we're going to do, we're going to go into the agent portal, into your dashboard. Okay, and just through ashmontrealty.com. Once you log in, we're going to click the Dotloop icon. So once you do that, I'm going to turn it over to my helper, and she's going to go over the basics of Dotloop.
Once I do that, I'm taken to our sign-in page where I've got a couple options here. First of which, if I have not created a new account before, I can click this blue Get Started button here. Otherwise, if I do have a designated password to sign in, I'm going to click the sign in button in the top right-hand corner of my screen. That's going to take me to our login page. It's going to ask for a valid email as well as password. I'm personally using Google Chrome right now, which has saved all of my login information, which is why you're seeing it highlighted in yellow here. But if you haven't typed it in before, again, just that email and password. You've also got the option to check the box to stay signed in. So when you type dotloop.com into your browser in the future, it will take you right to your home page. If you happen to forget your password, you can click this Forgot Password link to get a reset sent to your email. Otherwise, once everything's entered, you're good to hit that sign in button at the bottom of the page. So once I hit that sign in button, I'm taken to my main Loops homepage. We do have a few different views. I'm going to go over a few of them. What we're looking at right now is called our grid view. So all of these circles here, or loops, are what we call a transaction. And you'll see that you've got the opportunity to add a photo of the transaction you're working on, as well as give that loop a title. So best practice here when you're naming your loop is to go ahead and title it after the address of the transaction you're working on. However, the name is fluid. You can change it at any time. So if you didn't know the address quite yet, you could always do the loop title after your client's names or something like that and change it down the road. For the loops that you've added a photo to, if you hover over that loop, that's when you'll be able to see that loop title show up for you. Now, to switch to our next view, if we click in this blue circle here in the top right-hand corner of our page, it's going to take us to what we call our list view. So this list view here, it still has our loop on the left-hand side. We've got our loop title, but we've also got a little bit more pertinent information about the transaction. So we're able to see what type of transaction we're working on, the status of that particular transaction, as well as price, closing date, things like that. And having everything in this list view makes it very easy to navigate. We can also use this search bar at the top of our page to hone in on a specific loop rather than having to scroll through our massive list. So if I type in the name of my loop, it's then going to filter out everything else that I don't need. Okay, so our product has kind of gone under a little bit of a facelift here. We do have a newer view that you guys have access to. You'll notice when you're in the older view of Dotloop, like we are right now, you'll see a banner at the top of your page that says click here for early access to the new and improved loops page. So when I click on that, it will allow you to access our newly designed homepage. This is kind of a combination between the two views that we just saw. You still have the ability to add a photo of your transaction here, but you can also see all that important information, loop type, status, purchase price, date it was created, closing date, all of that good stuff. On top of that, you've still got this search bar here to easily navigate between everything. And in the top right-hand corner, we can also switch this into a list view. I'm going to go ahead and stick with this view for the remainder of the webinar. And I'm ready to go ahead and create a brand new loop. So to do that in this view, I'm going to click this Add Loop button in the top right-hand corner of my page. And the first step is asking me to give my loop a name. So you'll notice when I start typing, there is a drop-down that's showing up that's sourced from Google Maps, opting to autofill the rest of the address for me. Whenever Google recognizes the address that you're typing in, it will prompt to autofill that information for you, not only just when we're giving our loop a name, but also wherever this information might be applicable within our documents as well. So I'm going to click on my correct address here and have that autofilled, and I can hit continue in the bottom right-hand corner of my screen. The next option here is asking me to select a template for my loop. So loop templates allow us to, with one click of a button, add all of the correct documents, people, and tasks that we need for this specific transaction. So for instance, we're working on a listing. I would obviously be picking this listing loop template, which it would then bring in all of my paperwork and tasks that I need. However, just in case some of you guys don't have this feature set up quite yet or are not utilizing it, I am going to go ahead and skip this step and rather show you guys how to add everything individually once our loop is already created. So I'm just going to X out of this dropdown and hit continue. And finally, it's asking us to add a photo to our loop. So it's very easy. When I click this upload a photo button, I'm able to search my desktop for the picture that I'd like to upload. Once I select it, it automatically uploads and I'm good to go. So now that I've completed all three steps, I'm just going to hit done in the bottom right-hand corner of my screen and my loop is created. So when I click into my loop, there's three different parts to it. So first we've got our document section. Next, we've got a section for all the people. And then third, we've got a section for tasks. So task lists can be used as an old-fashioned checklist, just checking things off as you complete them. We can either add tasks in one by one as we think of them. To do that, we're just going to click this Add Task button right here, and a new list will automatically be created. You'll see that my cursor is flashing, just letting me know that I'm okay to start typing in what I need. And once I've typed that out, I'm just going to hit the Enter key on my keyboard to save my changes. And when I do that, you'll notice I now have a checkbox to the left of this task, as well as the option to assign it to a specific person and give it a due date. That's going to allow me to send automated reminders to that person before, during, and then also after the task if that person had failed to complete it on time. And then furthermore, of course, when this task is completed, I can just check the box to the left of it, indicating that it's done. There's also an option to load entire task lists at once versus just doing them one by one. So to the right-hand side of this task section, I've got the option to load a template. When I click Load Template, I have a pop-up of all of the different task lists available to me in my template section. So I just need to go through here, check the box to the left of each one that I'd like to bring into my loop, and then select Add. Now I have all of these different task lists available to me where I can go in, assign it to the right people, check things off once they're completed, and I'm good to go from there. So moving on to our people section, this is where we're going to be adding in everybody involved in our transaction. So you'll see that obviously we ourselves are added in here as the agent, and then our admin is also added in here from our office. Admins are automatically added to each loop upon its creation, meaning that they get full oversight of everything that's going on from the moment that loop is created. This means we don't have to give them updates every time we add paperwork, share things to them individually. None of that's necessary because once we create that loop, they're able to see into it and do everything that they need to do on their end. And you'll notice to the right-hand side of our admin's name, they've been given their correct role in this loop, which of course is admin. However, us as the agent, our role is going to default to none because being an agent, our role might be fluid from transaction to transaction. So we just want to make sure that we select the correct role from this drop-down menu. And then from there, we can go ahead and add everybody else in this loop that we need. So I'm going to click this Add Person button in the top right. And I'm going to go ahead and add in my seller here. It's going to ask me for their full name, a valid email address, as well as their role. So once I've got all of that information in here, of course, selecting their role to be seller, I do have the option to add some more information if I know it at this time. Everything I add in here is going to translate into auto-filling into my documents wherever applicable. So phone number, contact information, address, all of that. And once I've added everything I need, I'm just going to select Add Person. Okay, so before we move on to our document section, just a couple more things that we need to prepare. Right below our loop title at the top of our page, it is asking us to select what type of transaction we're working on. So from this dropdown, we're working on a listing for sale, so I'm going to select that. And then next it's asking me to select the status of that listing. So from this dropdown, right now I'm still gathering my paperwork, adding the people I need to my loop. So I'm going to select this to be in that pre-listing status. And then finally, our third option is that View Details page. When I click on View Details, this is essentially the cover sheet for my entire transaction. So everything that I'm filling out here, again, is going to translate into the auto-filling of all of my documents. Obviously, everything that we've already entered in has carried over. So we've got our seller's information, property address. We can go ahead from there and just add in anything else that we possibly can. And from there, once we've done that, we're going to go to the bottom and save our changes. The View Details page is also where we can rename our loop if need be. To do that, all we have to do is just click directly on that loop title. From there, we're going to see our cursor flashing, and we can make the changes we need and hit our Enter key to save. This page is also where we could add a photo to our loop if we didn't do it when we initially created that loop. So if I didn't add a photo automatically, you'll see that there's an Upload Photo button on this blue bar on the left-hand side of my page where I can go through the same exact steps and search my desktop to pick the photo I'd like to upload. All right, so now that I've got all the information that I needed to fill out, I'm going to hit this Back to Loop button in the top left and go into the main page of my loop because I'm ready to start adding in my documents. So in this document section here, we've got 3 different ways that we can bring documents into a loop. First, we've got our template section. This is allowing us to search all of the electronic documents that are stored within Dotloop, whether it be our association documents, documents that are provided by our brokerage. This is where we would go to look for them. The second option is browsing our computer or our desktop for PDFs that we can upload into a loop. And then finally, we've actually also got the option to bring documents in that were sent to us as a PDF attachment to our personal email. I'm going to go over all three of those, but let's go ahead and get started with bringing documents in from our templates. When I click that blue templates box, I'm given a pop-up of all of the different document folders that I have available to me. So when I select the folder that I want to bring documents in from, I just have to check the box to the left of each document and hit copy. It's then going to bring all of those into my loop for me. From there, I have the option to either open all of these documents at once, or just a few of the bunch, or open one at a time. If I wanted to open all three of these documents, I'm actually going to check the box to the left-hand side of this folder, which would then select all three of these documents for me. And then you'll notice to the top right-hand corner of this document section, I have a series of blue links to choose from, one of which is the option to open. I can also just select a couple of the three, or if I just want to go and work on one at a time, I can click directly on that document title. So the first time that I click into a document, I am going to see that autofill pop-up window come up for me. And this is where I can just double check my work, make sure that I've added all the correct information in. Obviously, everything that we filled out here already is showing up. So I can just make sure that I've added all the correct information. Once everything looks good, I can hit that blue autofill button, and it's then going to show me to the top right how many roles of people have been assigned to this document, and also going to highlight in yellow all of the fields that have been filled in. So as I scroll through and make sure that everything looks good, anything that's unique information that was not added in via autofill, I can simply just click into that text box and start typing. Same goes for filling out date boxes, radio buttons, check boxes, etc. And as I scroll through here, at the bottom of page 1, we've got a few initial fields. Because we added the correct people into our loop when we created it, there's no need for us to drag and drop initial fields and assign them to the correct people. Because once we autofill that document, our seller was correctly assigned to everything that she needs to add her signature or initials to on the page. And you'll notice there's actually two different initial fields for the seller at the bottom of page 1, but we only have one seller. It's similar to going through a paper doc and highlighting what we need. Dotloop can recognize when one field has been assigned, and it's not going to allow someone to sign twice when it's not necessary. So when we share this document off to Sally, she will not even see the second initial field. She'll only see the one that's assigned to her. But once everything looks good with the document and we're ready to share it off for signature, we can either save our options and come back later, or we can hit that blue Save and Share button in the top right-hand corner of this Doc Editor toolbar. So when I hit Save and Share, it's asking me to choose who I want to share this document to. Obviously, right now, Sally's the only person besides our office admin who we've added into the loop. So her name is automatically checked. And we can see how many fields that have been assigned to her to take action on. The third thing we need to determine is what permission that we want to give Sally on this document. So from this drop down here, we've got a few different options. First of which is view only. So if we just wanted Sally to look at the document at this time and not sign it or take any action, we would give her that view only permission. Can sign allows her to add her signature. Can fill and sign allows them to type into text boxes, add signature and initials, etc. And then finally, that can edit in private permission. This is going to give that person full editing access to the document. And I will say, can edit in private is never a permission we're going to be giving one of our clients. This is more so, again, for that co-op agent experience, working with another agent, giving them that same editing access that you have. Your client will never need that permission on a document. So I'm going to stick with this can sign. We've also got the option to type in a custom message here if need be. And also have the option to attach a PDF version of this document to the email that we're sending. And when we're ready, once we hit that share button, we'll see that the document has been successfully shared and that we're waiting for Sally to sign. So we can go ahead and hit done and then click the blue arrow in the top left of this doc editor toolbar here to go back into the main page of our loop. So you'll notice with these 3 documents that we've brought into the loop, the 2 that we have not opened still say that they have not been shared, where that exclusive right to sell now has an updated status saying that we're waiting on others and that we're waiting for Sally to sign. So I'm going to go ahead and switch gears here and show you what it looks like on the receiving end when you share out a document through Dotloop. So if I jump into Sally's email here, when they receive a document from Dotloop, it is going to have your name as the agent versus just a generic Dotloop sender title. And when they click into that email, it's going to have your photograph and all of your correct contact information, the address of the transaction or name of the loop that you guys are working on, and then of course the custom message that we typed out as well. So from there, they can click this blue View Document button and they're taken right in to do what they need to do. So they're able to scroll through, make sure that everything looks good first, and when they're ready, they can hit the flashing Start Signing bar in the top right-hand corner of the screen, and they'll be guided to each field assigned to them on the page. So the first field that they sign on, they will be asked to adopt their signature. So for instance, say Sally wanted to add her middle initial. She can actually edit her own signature in the text box right above the signature preview. So she can just click and add for both her name and initials. There's also an option to draw out the signature if you prefer that over the cursive option. So if you click Draw Signature, you can use your finger, stylus, cursor, what have you, to go ahead and add your signature to the page. Considering that this looks terrible, I'm going to actually opt for that cursive option. So I'm going to go back to this type signature and then click Adopt and Sign. From there, it's just clicking. So I'm going to be guided to every other field that's assigned to me. If I were to try and click I'm done in the top right-hand corner of my page, it will notify me if I had accidentally forgotten a field. If it was intentional, I can still continue to submit that document back to my agent, but if it was accidental, I can hit Show Me, and it will take me to where I forgot to sign. And once all my signature and initials are added to the doc, I just have to click Finish Signing in the top right-hand corner. And I'm good to go. I can go ahead and just X out of this document. If I would like, there is an option in the client view of this doc editor toolbar to print or download this document for my records. However, your client will still always have access to the doc from the email that was sent to them as well. So I'm going to X out of this document and I'm going to switch back into my agent view of my Dotloop account. So now as the agent, I'm automatically notified when my client is signed, and you'll see now to the right-hand side of this exclusive right to sell that that status has been successfully updated. All right, so let's shift gears one more time here. Let's say that we're working with another agent on a transaction. They're not a Dotloop user, and they've sent us a document as a PDF attachment to our email, and we want to easily get that document into our loop. So to keep things organized, I am going to go ahead and add in a new folder here. To do that, in this document section, I'm going to click the Add Folder button on the right-hand side, and a new folder is automatically created. My cursor is flashing, just reminding me I can delete this new folder generic title and type what I'd like. So I'm going to call this Offer 2. And I'm going to choose this third option here of bringing our documents in through email. When I click that email box, I'm given a unique email address, and my only job in Dotloop is just to make sure that I copy this. So rather than just clicking and highlighting this whole long address, I can just hit this copy to clipboard button here, and it's automatically saved for me. So now I just need to locate the documents in my email that I want to bring into Dotloop. So I'm going to revert back to my email inbox. I've got this email here that has 3 listing documents attached to it that I want to bring into my loop. So I'm just going to open it up, and I'm going to hit forward, because what we're doing is we're just forwarding these documents right into Dotloop. And the place we're sending it to is that email address that we just copied from our loop. So in this sender section, I'm just going to right click and select, and select paste. So I've got this long email address that's been successfully added. If I scroll down, I've got all of these successfully attached, and I just need to hit send. And we're good to go. We've done everything we need to in our email, so we can X out of that and just go back into our loop. It'll take about 30 seconds or so for those documents to come through. But once I refresh my page, I'll see that all 3 of these documents have been successfully added to that new folder that I added in my loop. One thing that's a little bit different here than the documents we were working on earlier that came from our template section is that these were all brought in as flat PDFs, meaning they don't have any text boxes or signature fields or anything like that that we can start typing into. It's our job to go ahead and prep these documents the way we want before we send them out. So I'm just going to click on one of these documents here, and we'll walk through getting these prepared. So as you can see, these documents are completely flat. There's no text fields, date boxes, anything like that. So I'm going to rely on my doc editor toolbar to add everything that I need. So from this add drop-down menu, I've got the option to add signature fields, initial fields, text and date boxes. I can strike through existing text, etc. So I'm going to start at the bottom of page 1. We've got a couple initial fields that we need to add. So when I select initials, that initial box is going to follow my cursor around until I click to place it where I'd like it to go on the page. The moment I do place that initial field, similar to when we were working in our Dotloop document that came from the template section, it's asking me to kind of autofill or assign that field to the correct person. So the moment I place that field, I see this drop down asking me to assign it. And then it's going to show me a drop down of all of the people I have in this loop that I could assign it to. So I'll assign this to Sally. This initial box is a little bit bigger than I'd like it to be. I do have the option to resize it and also move it around the page if need be. So if I hover my cursor over the bottom right corner where there's a blue arrow on this initial field, I will be able to drag and resize this box, and also drag to move it around. And I can continue my way down the page. So adding in a date box here. and so forth. However, we fully understand that when you've got a 5+ page document, this can be very cumbersome and tedious. That's why we have what we call hotkeys that make it a lot easier for us to mass copy and paste these fields throughout the document. So rather than us constantly having to go to this add drop-down menu, we can copy and paste these fields quickly throughout the page by using what we call hotkeys. So for instance, top of page 2, I'm going to go ahead and just add one of the text boxes that I need. Once it's resized the way I'd like, you'll notice that once I have that text box selected, I do have all these shortcut keys showing up in the bottom right-hand corner of my screen. So for instance, if I wanted to copy this text box, I'm going to hit that Command, Shift, and C for copy. I personally am working off of a Mac right now, which is why it's asking me to use that Command button. However, all you PC users who are listening, that would be the equivalent of the Control key on your keyboard. So once I hit Command, Shift, and C, I'm going to look for that paste option, Command, Shift, V as in Victor. And it's automatically going to copy it, same size as I need, and I can make my way down the doc that way. I don't need to recopy and paste every single time. Once I've copied the field once, I can continue to hit Command Shift V to paste. If I were to ever add a field in error, there is an option to remove it. On this doc editor toolbar, once a field has been placed, you'll see I've got a few more options here. I can select remove field, that X icon in the middle of the page. There's also an option to mass copy and paste. So rather than just doing one field at a time, I can do entire groups of fields and then paste groups as well. So for instance, under this water supply section on our document, I'm going to first add one row of checkboxes here. I'm going to add one checkbox from that drop-down menu, and then I'm just going to continue to use my hotkeys to paste them down the row. So now that I've done one field, I've got an identical field of checkboxes to the right of this. So what I can do is if I click a little bit to the left of this row of checkboxes and drag my cursor, almost creating an invisible box to highlight all 4 of these checkboxes, I've now successfully highlighted all of them. So now I can just use my hotkeys to copy, Command-Shift-C, and paste, Command-Shift-V, and I can now paste that entire row versus having to do it one at a time. I can just select a couple of the 4 for this next section here, and so forth. All right, so I'm going to pause quickly and see if we have any questions that are coming in right now that need to be addressed over this doc editor section. Nope, perfect. All right, it looks like we're good to move on. I will not bore you and have you guys watch me go through all 5 pages of this document. So I'm going to go ahead and just save my changes and opt to not share this document out at this time. All right, so I'm going to back out of the document. Again, not going to share it out. Okay. And let's go over our third and final option of adding documents into Dotloop. So again, I'm going to add a brand new folder to keep things organized. We'll call this Offer 3. And I'm going to choose our final option here of adding documents in from searching our computer. So when I hit that blue browse box, I'm able to search everything that I've got on my desktop or just computer in general. Everything that we're bringing into Dotloop, again, just a reminder, does have to be in a PDF format. So when I found the documents that I'd like to upload, I'm just going to select all of the ones that I need at once and then hit open. And it's as easy as that. They're all going to be automatically uploaded. Again, they're PDFs, so I can go through those same steps of prepping out my document as we just did with that doc editor toolbar. All right, and a few miscellaneous things to show within this document section. One feature we have that's really helpful is called our host in-person signing. So if you guys were ever with your clients in person, they were ready to move forward, rather than you having to log into your Dotloop account, prep all of your documents, share it out to them so they receive it on a separate device and go through the signing process that way. We do have this host in-person signing that allows you to do everything from a single device. So for instance, I'm going to click into one of our documents here. So it's as simple as just autofilling our information. Making sure that our client has those signature fields assigned to them, and saving our changes. And again, rather than having to share it out so they receive it on their separate device, we can have them sign right from within this doc editor page. So from this More drop-down menu in the doc editor toolbar, you'll see that host in-person signing option. From there, all you have to do is hand over your phone, tablet, laptop, whatever you're using, so your client can recognize themselves as the signee. So once you hit continue, Sally's just going to recognize that she's the one signing and click that begin signing button. What happens when she clicks this is it's essentially just automatically logging her into her view of Dotloop, and she'll go through that same exact signing process as she would if you were to send it via email. So when she clicks start signing, she'll be guided to every field, add her signature, and she's good to go. Once she's completed the document, as soon as she backs out of the document, it's just taking you as the agent right back into the sign-in page so you can jump in and see the updated loop. So when we're back in Dotloop as the agent and click on that new loop that we've created here, you'll see that that waiver of contingency has now been updated to signed, and we didn't have to share it through email or switch devices while doing so. And one thing that I'm also noticing in this document section is I do have a few duplicate forms from when I added my documents in for my desktop. So this is something I don't want to get confused by. I want to make sure that I get rid of these extra documents. So there is an archive option within Dotloop. You can kind of think of it as the trash bin. So nothing can be fully deleted within Dotloop. It can only be archived. To do so, to the right-hand side of each document that you would like to archive, there's 3 vertical dots. Anytime you're seeing 3 vertical dots in Dotloop, that's indicating you have drop-down menu options. So if I click on those dots, I'll see that there is the option to archive, and I can do it with individual documents, and I can also archive entire folders at a time as well. So obviously with a folder, I would click the dots to the right of the folder versus the individual documents inside of it. If for whatever reason I had archived a document in error, once I do have archived documents in a loop, you'll see to the right-hand side there's now a Show Archive button. If I click Show Archive, it is going to show me grayed out versions of those documents. If I wanted to fully bring it back into the loop, I would click those 3 dots one more time, and you'll see that option has switched to Unarchived. Anything that I still want to remain archived and get rid of, once I've looked at everything, I can hit that Hide Archive button in the top right, and it will hide everything else. All right, so far we've created our loop, added in all of the people and task lists, added our documents, shared them out for signature. We're at the point where we're ready for our office admin to approve our docs for commission. So you'll notice to the left-hand side of all of these folders we have in this loop, it does say that they have not been submitted. just meaning we have not yet sent these off to our admin for their review. To do so, we're going to scroll to the top of this loop, and in the top right-hand corner of our page, we're going to hit Submit for Review. When we hit Submit for Review, it's going to ask us which folders that we would like to submit. You do have to submit entire folders at once, which is fine. I know while working on this loop, we did not touch every document in every single one of these folders. It's not going to send our admin any documents that we've made no change to. When we select this folder, it's only going to show our admin documents in that folder that we've altered. So once we select the folders, it's going to ask us to select what type of review our admin will be performing. So obviously this is a listing. It'll be that listing review. And we can type in a custom message here too, just to give them further instruction or a heads up on anything. Once we have all that prepared, we simply just have to click Submit. And we're good to go. You'll see now that each folder says that the listing needs to be reviewed, and all of these forms have been successfully submitted. There's also a notes icon within each loop, this talking bubble icon in the top right of our page, where we can see all of our admins' notes and converse back and forth with them and see everything that we would need to fix within each document as they're reviewing them. So you can see my notes displayed here. If I were to get a note back from my admin, it would say what document they're referring to, which admin had made a note about it, as well as a date and time stamp. We can use this note section to message back and forth with anyone in the loop as well. So you'll see Sally's also included in this. Even if she doesn't have a Dotloop account, she'll receive these messages via email. And even when she responds via email, it will be successfully displayed back in this messaging center. And then finally, with each loop, there also is an activity log. So if I click activity log in the top right, this is showing me essentially a paper trail of everything that's gone on from the moment the loop was created. So it's showing me who's done what with a date and timestamp, and all of these blue links are live, so we can click on them to either click into a specific document, look at a specific task, etc. Okay, and finally, just a few helpful tips for you guys. At the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, you'll notice that there are links to, and this is bottom right-hand corner of any page in Dotloop, except for the newly designed My Loops homepage. You have easy access to your member ID. So your member ID is what you'll use anytime you need to call our support line. It will ask you to enter in this number. So just remember, you can always reference it within your Dotloop account. The number for that customer support line is listed right next to it, 888-Dotloop. You can call our support line 7 days a week. They're open 8 a.m. to midnight Eastern time on the weekdays and 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. on the weekends. They're there to help you with any type of technical question you have. They can jump into your account, troubleshoot alongside of you. And again, their number will be listed here. And then finally, there's a link to our Help Center. So if you click on the Help Center link, you're taken to our customer support website. This is where you can kind of get self-help, look up videos or articles and tutorials of any question that you have. There are different categories you can look into. So for instance, say I wanted additional training videos. If I click on this training link, I have the option to look up videos and tutorials that way. You can also just use the search bar to type in one-off questions. For instance, say you needed help with how to sign. Searching your question will show you a drop-down of articles that you might find helpful to you. And from there, you can just go through and watch the step-by-step of exactly what you would need to do. Now, I had said this is all going to be available in every single page of Dotloop in the bottom right-hand corner, except for that newly designed My Loops homepage. So let me show you where to access it when you're there. If we click on that new homepage, again, rather than it being down here in the bottom right, it's actually going to be in your My Account drop-down menu. So if we click on our profile picture or initials in the top right-hand corner of our screen, you'll see your member ID is listed right beneath your name, and the support number and link to our help center are in this drop-down menu as well. This My Account dropdown is also where you can add all important information. So if I actually click this My Account button here, this is where I can enter how I want my e-signature to look, add a profile photo, all of my contact information, everything filled out here. It'll be used to autofill documents whenever necessary. So definitely a good idea to enter in your personal info into this My Account page. Okay, perfect. So those are the main things that I did have to go over with you today. Before we get to answering some questions potentially out loud, one thing I did want to go over is your chance to win a $100 Amazon gift card. So if you guys have made it this far, if you post hashtag #DotloopLife to any form of social media, you will be automatically entered in to win a $100 Amazon gift card. Again, that is hashtag #DotloopLife. And Amy, who's answering my questions here, will go ahead and post that to everyone, spelling and all, in the question panel for you guys to reference. But I am going to take the last few minutes we have here. If there's any questions or anything you guys would like me to circle back to, feel free to type that in and we will go over whatever we can in the allotted time.
I have a question. Archiving a whole loop, archiving a document, and unarchiving documents.
Okay.
We can cover those.
Perfect. So sounds like we've got a lot of questions surrounding archiving in general.
And just explain how that's delete. That's our delete.
Perfect. So archiving, again, that's what is considered our delete in Dotloop. Anytime I don't need something any longer, don't want it to be in my view of either loops, documents, document folders, I'm going to go ahead and archive. So I'm going to go back to my main loops homepage. When I'm looking at my loops in general, say I had a deal fall through, I don't need this loop to show up for me anymore, I can go ahead and just hit the archive button right on the front of my loop. So now that it's archived, it'll show me that it's grayed out. I've got that archive in the top left. So if I refresh my page, that North Main Street loop is no longer showing up for me. Say I did that in error or the deal was back on. I'm just going to reference my filters to show any unarchived loops that I'd like to see. So next to the search bar, I do have that filters button, and there's a section specifically dedicated to archived. So rather than hiding the archived, I want to have all of my loops shown, and I'm going to click apply. That way I can see everything that I've ever archived. That North Main Street loop, if I want to unarchive it and start working on it again, I simply just click unarchive at the bottom of that loop. Then I need to readjust my filters one more time. Now that this has been successfully unarchived, I want to get rid of everything I don't need to look at. So I'm going to click hard archive one more time and select apply. And we're good to go. That loop is back here for me to work on. Again, if I ever needed to get rid of something, that archive button is right on the outside of the loop. There are a few, obviously we went over the different views of Dotloop. So this is how we would do it from this new grid view. If we switch to the list view here, You'll see that archive option is in the bottom right corner in the list view as well. So same exact icon that we see in that grid view, just in a different spot. When we're looking at our old view of Dotloop, so if I switch back to where we started, to archive loops in this view, it's all going to be updating the status of the loop. So for instance, we selected this North Main Street to be a listing, and it's in the status of that listing is right now set to pre-listing. Again, if that deal fell through, we weren't going to be working on it anymore. We're going to switch this to say, from saying pre-listing to say archived. And again, it will no longer show up for us once we do that. And then finally, archiving from our grid view, we're actually going to need to click inside of the loop. So once I click inside the loop, I see these statuses here. I can update the status from pre-listing to archived. Okay, and then to review archiving entire folders as well as individual documents. When it comes to folders and documents, to archive, we're going to click the 3 vertical dots to the right-hand side of either the folder or that individual document we want to get rid of. To archive an entire folder, of course, we're clicking these 3 dots here right next to that folder title and selecting archive. Now that folder is completely hidden from our view. The only way to get it to show up again is if we click this blue Show Archive button here. If we wanted to archive individual documents, we're just clicking the 3 vertical dots to the right-hand side of that particular document and selecting archive. Once we are done archiving everything, we can click Hide Archived and everything will officially be out of view. Okay, and then the next thing people had a few more questions about was that host in-person signing. So let's go over that one more time. Again, this host in-person signing is handy for when you're with your clients, of course, in person, and they're ready to move forward. You can use this so everybody can sign the paperwork from the same device rather than us as agents having to prep the paperwork, share it out to our clients to their own device, have them open it up in email and sign that way. Rather, when we use host in-person signing, we're just going to log into our own Dotloop account, open up the document we want them to sign, and we can have them sign right from within this doc editor page. So we'll just make sure all of our information is auto-filled. We can see that we've got some signature fields for them that they need to address. So we're going to save our changes. And again, rather than hitting the share button, we're going to click this more drop-down menu and select the option of host in-person signing. So this allows us to just hand over the same device we're working on to our client so they can add their signature that way. When they hit continue and recognize themselves to be the signee, when they hit begin signing, it's essentially just automatically logging them into their view of the loop where they can go through the same exact signing process that they would if we were to send this to them via email. Once they add their signature and hit that finish signing button, they are all set. They can hand the device over back to you. When you back out of this document, it's just taking you as the agent right back into your sign-in page. So you can get back into your account, jump into the loop, and see that that exclusive right to sell has been successfully signed.
Emailing into a loop, a couple people have asked about if we can re-show just where that email address is.
Okay. Okay, so I think the final question we've got time for here is emailing documents into a loop when they've been sent to us as a PDF attachment. So what we want to do there is when we're in the document section of our loop, if we select add document, we're going to click this third option of adding from email. When we click that email box, we are given a unique email address that we want to copy right to our computer. So I can just hit this copy to clipboard button, and this email address is automatically saved. And my next job is just jump into my own personal email and locate the documents that I want to bring into the loop. So here I've got an email that has 3 PDF attachments. I want to bring all of those in. So essentially what I'm doing is just forwarding these documents into Dotloop. When I click this forward button here, it's asking me who I want to send this email to, and I'm sending it to that email address that we just copied from within our Dotloop account. So again, this email address here that we just copied is what we're pasting on who we're sending it to within our email. So once I paste that and just double check that all of these PDF attachments have been successfully added, all I have to do is hit send. I'm good to go with my email. I can X out of it, and I just need to go back into Dotloop, give it about 30 seconds or so before these documents are successfully added. And when I refresh my page, you'll see that all 3 of these documents have been successfully added into my loop for me right from within my email. Okay, perfect. So that's all we've got time for to go over today. We've got our next Success Manager in here looking to set up for their webinar. So thank you guys so much for joining today.